So, just to start with, before the video starts, sorry for it's been that long since I put something up. Busy with things, which might let you know later on in maybe another video, or we'll see. Anyway, here's the video.
Hi and welcome to another post of this mk2 Jaguar wide body 2-door coupe, which I'm on with, and the Landy 101. A little bit of progress, so I'm going to run you through what I've been doing and what I'm on with now. There's been a bit of a gap with the mk2. I've got the chair in. I think I did the video with the chair. I'm sure I did the video with the chair. I'm not sure. I'll have to go over. But what I'm going to do is going to do a time lapse of the engine build on the 101, and so that will be in this video. And I'm going to show you the cylinder heads, which I've nearly done. Putting the valve guides back in, the new guides, the competition guides, and they have the oil seals on the top, whereas the original guides didn't have oil seals. So I've got all that done and grinding the valves in, which has been a bit of a pain because I don't have a tool for recutting the seats, which I really should have done when I did the guides, but I'm not paying 1,500 quid just to cut the guides, the seats, sorry. And what I've been doing with the mk2 and the 101 as well, bits and pieces. So the Jag, so got the runners done. I know I keep saying I'm going to get them done. I've just been busy with my son's bike, which I mentioned last time. That's all sorted now, so that's not a concern. What I'm doing with the Jag at the moment, like I say, I've got the seating and all that's done. And now what I'm doing is the passenger seat. So this is how far I've got so far with the passenger seat. So I'm just doing the holes for the harnesses to go through. So there's an infill, obviously goes into here to sort out the gap there and reinforce all this area for where the harnesses go through. Because these carry the weight, the idea is to carry the weight, which I've described before, into the harnesses to the floor, because I don't have a beam running across the back, because obviously it's a 2+2. So that's what I've got with that. So that's how far I've got with the chair. That's the Jag. That's all I've been doing with the Jag, is getting back on with making that. For the 101, my son has been on with making the parts for the wheel stowages. So we've just started that. So what I'll do is, for all these drawings I'll put up in this video, I'll make a video of all the drawings so you can see them, but they're all being printed out. Each individual component's being printed out, and he's been making the parts. So these are just a couple of simple plates for when it's bolted down. So he's done those. This is another plate he's making. Same thing, so anchor it all down. So that's the drawing for it there. But like I said, I'll put all this up, and then all these are all the other drawings, of which, pardon me, which I've made for the stowage. So like I said, I'll put all those up in a video with this, so you can see all this stuff. And these are all to be cut out of 3mm mild steel plate. I was originally going to do it in aluminium, but for the amount of work it's going to be doing, I felt that I would have to really go to town with the aluminium thicknesses, and it seemed to be a bit over the top, really. Mild steel plate is good enough.
So, as I say in the video, I would show you the drawings so you could better see them, instead of me just flipping through loads of bits of paper and there you go. Here we go with the drawings. I think I've dimensioned them all correctly. one only finds out when you actually start making them, and it's you find, you know, you've missed one here and there. But obviously I have the model, so I can go back. But I think we've got it all. Let me just go back. Right, so I'm not going to go and explain each one. The drawing shows you on the description of what it is, what I've called it, and so I'll just click through them. And so what you'll see is some drawings of the parts of which within the form, and then you'll see parts where they're opened out, so they can be measured properly and cut. Normally we'd do this with a CNC cutter to cut out these profiles, because the dimensioning of the program in CAD, it was very difficult to try and get some of the measurements for the sweeping curves and that. You really couldn't. It wouldn't put them in, and I couldn't really work out where to put the points to give the radius and things like that. So mainly I've tried to accommodate the heights and where some radius center points are. So you'll see that. But anyway, here we go. So I'll click through sort of like every other second or whatever, and you can see them. And hopefully I don't bore you too much with that. So this is supposed to be enlarged. I think that's a bit too enlarged. There we go. So these are all, like I said, these are all the parts for the stowage. So as you can see, that's the part that's finished. This goes through each face to stabilize it so it doesn't twist. But anyway. And like I say, all these are drawings of which I showed you in the video, all the printouts that I've got. I think I've done them all, but if I haven't, I'll, like I say, I've got the drawings, so I can go back to it from the original model, and I can just add it to my stack of drawings. But it's good is CAD nowadays for stuff like this, where you have complex shapes. So like in all these holes here, this is the arm obviously, and in all the holes those pieces go through it, and that's to stabilize it, so stop it twisting. To make all these parts and measure it out, like I said, I couldn't get the CAD software to do it, but with having within the program to open it out as a flat pattern, you can send it off for cutting. That, you know, that flat pattern drawing, and the CNC just it puts it into cam, and the thing just it will cut all the pieces out exactly as they are. So you do, like I say, you don't need measurements. It's just there as a one-to-one drawing, well, a one-to-one scale model in 3D. I think there you go. I think that's all of them shown. So you've got, like I say, you've got a better understanding of all the parts that I'm making. So we'll go back to the video.
That's what we've been doing with the Land Rover, with the bits and pieces for the wheel stowage, and so my son will be getting on with that. Like I said, I've been doing the heads, so I'm going to run you through now the heads, what I've done, and I'm going to show you me pulling the valve guide in. I'm not going to show you the lapping of the valves back in, because that's just lapping valves in, and you know, that's not a big deal, but I'll show you the ones I've done and so forth, and then like I say, we'll have the time lapse of the actual building of the thing back together, and hopefully when it's back together it'll be running. So yeah, so let's go over there and we'll do the head. So heads, so this one's done. As you can see, all the valves are in, they're all ground in, which took some time, I'll tell you. In the workshop manual it says that the seat hasn't to be bigger than 2 mil in contact face. Now some of them are up to 2 mil, some of them are slightly under, and like I said, if I had just 1,500 quid to throw out to get a seat cutting tool to set up the seat, I could have put a 3-angle valve job in it as well, which made it a little bit better for flow, but the engine's never going to be run that high. They do suffer from starvation of air when you look at the maps, so it would have made it a little bit better, but like I say, it's never going to be that serious. I just wanted to try and make it a bit better, but they'll do. Like I say, 2 mil. Like I say, I think I got one which was just slightly, I just measured it over, it's like 0.1 of a mil over. I wasn't going to sniff at that 2 mil. But anyway, so this is done. You can see the porting. Now the porting, I've not opened it up. All I've done is clean them up, which I've explained before. That's all I've done, and I've done port matching. So I've got the steel gasket that goes on this, which covers the gallery in the V setup. So that's what I did there, and I've done the induction manifold, which I think I've shown as well. So that's all I've done there for these guides that which I put in. This is the exhaust, the one that I messed up, and which I had to take out to buy a new one. You can see the chamfer. So the original guides were longer, probably about 1 centimetre longer. So there's quite a lot of protrusion within the actual port which comes to the valve. So they made them shorter and they chamfered the edge to allow more air to flow past them. So that's the exhaust one. The inlet one, the chamfer comes further down here, and you can see the actual machining there, which takes the seal, which obviously goes on thus. But anyway, so all I did was the bossing inside the port where the valve is, inside there, which come up to here. I took some of that down, so they were all measured to try and get them all the same height. So that's really all I've done with the port matcher, which I think I've explained before, but for those who maybe have not watched that video, that's what I've done with these heads. So all I've done is just to open them up a little bit, mainly to clean them, and especially on the induction side. These I've never seen casting on heads as bad as I have with these. They really are horrendous, especially for the induction. You know, you might as well put gates and fences inside here. There wouldn't have been any greater restriction as what was already in. Honestly, really nasty things they are. So it's not surprising these engines don't produce any real top end power without doing a load of work on them. Because like I say, the heads, they're fierce, they really are. But anyway, I know it's not a Lamborghini, is this, but there we go. But anyway, so all the valves in, they're all ground in. I also checked the height. So the top of the valve there, there's a specific height it can't go over. And the height is 47.63 millimetres. So measuring from where the valve spring, the bigger valve spring sits, to the top of there, it cannot go over that dimension. And it says if it does, then they need to be ground back or new seats put in. I would go for the new seats if it's got that bad, because when I've measured with my calipers, I've got at least 2.5, 3 mil, something like that. I've not calculated it, but I have a big gap between the maximum measurement and what I have here. So they're all done. That's all smashing and great. I did also, just whittering on a bit, when I stripped this down, there was no washers underneath the valve springs to the head, and generally you have something to save the cylinder head from the valve springs, which is a steel washer or a plate that's in there, and there was nothing in. Now I know that these heads have been played with in the past because they'd been skimmed. Obviously I have no idea how much, but I wasn't sure if they'd been reassembled without these washers in, because it just seemed strange that there weren't any in. So I went into the manual and there was nothing in there showing these washers. I've been into Rimmer Brothers I've been into all sorts of places trying to find if there was any. I went onto my Facebook 101 group, which I follow, and I put a message in there, and I got back at that saying that they don't have them in it. And the manual and everything saying this shows it, but Google AI was quite adamant that it does have them in, all 3.5 litre V8 engines. So I was confused, but anyway, come back, and I can see where they've been running, but that's because they weren't in. That doesn't mean to say that they weren't supposed to be in. But anyway, apparently they're not supposed to be in, the manual showing everything, so they will be assembled without any kind of washer protection on there. And they're not chewed up, so I'm assuming that that's exactly how they were. So anyway, so that's where we are. So right, after all that banter, let me just put that over there. I'm going to show you putting a guide in. It takes a little bit of time, not a lot. It's just because my pump here, when it gets to a certain pressure, then it goes into its second phase so it can up the pressure, so it doesn't move as much fluid. So it does take a little bit longer. But I'll show you the setup, and I'll go through before I show you so you can understand exactly how this thing's operating. So that there, this piece here, this is what pulls in the guide. So the guide sits in there like that. This is, if you can see the step here, this is me machined to sit inside where the valve spring sits there. So that's a perfect depth. So the bore in there is the perfect size to pull this guide in. So this sets every guide to the exact height when it's pulled in. So as soon as it pulls up to there and it hits the head, obviously this stops. That means the valve guide stops, and that's set. So that's how this works. So I've got a high tensile steel bolt, which is 12.9 grade. That was the highest grade I could find for this length. There might be some specialist bolts that's harder, but 12.9 does the job. I have exploded a couple, but that's a different story. But yeah, so that goes like that. Then, like I said, the guide goes in like that. I've cleaned everything with that and that in the actual bore there. So I just give it a spray, then that goes in there like that, and it's cleaned through, so that's been done. Then I have some engine assembly lube. So this stuff is proper sticky stuff, is this, but I wanted something that would allow it to give it a good lubrication when it's being pulled in. And so let me just make sure my hands are clean. So here we go. So put some of this lube on. It's nearly like grease, and I lubricate the guide like that. That goes on there. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of this lube in the bore of the valve guide, and obviously as the guide pulls through, it's going to push and lubricate the bore. So that goes in there like that. This here is an old guide which I took out, and I took off 0.05 on the diameter so it will go in, and I'm not sure why I machined these bits down here for. I'm not sure why I did that, but it doesn't matter. Might have been for something else I was doing, but it's irrelevant, because all this is for is to square this in the bore. So when I pull it through, I want to make sure that it's been pulled in square, not off square. And it could be if I wasn't careful. Anyway, so this piece here, this is a 45-degree chamfer, and that's to match the valve seat, is that. And so obviously, because it's tapered, it matches both the inlet and outlet. This obviously is bored out so that the guide can go through into it. So this pull it out as well as pulling it back in. That goes over there. This piece then is threaded for the M8 bolt. So it's an M8 hardened bolt. That then screws into that there. Like so. So now that has all squared itself up now, is that? If you can see, like so. So that's all nicely there. Now this is the ram. It's got a bore through it. So all that sits into that there. And this here screws, sorry, that way on there. So that goes through there like that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit that onto there. I'll put that block of wood under there just to support it while it's I'm putting it on. So this then just screws onto that other piece that I screwed onto the M8 bolt. Now that's now set ready. So I'm going to jack this thing through. So I'm going to pull it in. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my son to bring the camera from the back so you can see the gauge. And what I've found is pulling these guides in. Oh, I didn't tell you. One moment. So I did mention the video I did before when I was trying to show you putting this together. I said I was going to get a reamer. I'm not sure if I showed you the reamer and doing the heads. The guides what I got, they're slightly bigger than the original guides. I can't remember the dimension of the video. I think I did. I went over it. But I found out the interference fit, and these guides were slightly bigger than the guides that I took out. Now I think that they did that because of the galling when you pull them out, and I drilled them to relieve the tension. I warmed them up and cooled them down to try and free them up. And they were still quite tight coming out, even though I drilled pretty much most of the material away to pull them out. Anyway, some of them are galled a little bit, and I think what they've done is they made them bigger so it could ream it out to this size here, and this size is, do you know, I've forgotten, and it's not on it. But anyway, that was the size. Oh no, here we are. 19/32. That's a 19/32 reamer. So I reamed them all out, and that cleaned them all up, and it gave me an exact size for the interference fit for these guides that I'm putting in. So all of the heads have been done. So it's just a hand reamer, and I reamed them all out with that. So that fixed my problem of the guides, because like I say, I broke one of those high tensile steel bolts trying to pull. I pulled the inlet in because the actual bore is shorter than the exhaust, which I'm presuming is for to get rid of the heat, which is obviously getting stored up in the valve. But anyway, the valve the guide caused me a load of trouble. And that's why I had to drill the thing out, and that's why I had to buy another one. But we got that, and so here we are fitting that guide. So yeah, so I'll get the camera around the back and you'll be able to see the pressure gauge. And the pressure gauge is 1,000 psi. It gets to, on this, with this size of ram, it's 1,000 psi roundabouts as it's pulling it all in. When this part of the tool here gets to the cylinder head and touches it, then the needle will climb. That's when I know she's home. I was going to make a surface pin to show in this tool, so when it touched the head it would push the pin up and it will come level with the tool, but I thought it doesn't need it because I can see the pressure going up. And that was good enough for me, and it works just as I thought it would do. So camera to back and you'll be able to see the pressure and hopefully see this thing moving. It's slow, but that's what we'll do. Right, so you'll be able to see this here. I'm going to show you the needle moving. Obviously, if I just zoom in on the needle, you're not going to see anything else, but you're not going to see right much anyway, so I've tried to get everything we can. So you're going to see the needle climb, it should go to around about 1,000 psi, which is just starting. You'll be able to see it pull the guide in. As it starts getting further in, then it'll start climbing. There, so it's shifted over now. So this halfway there. This one's going a little bit better than others actually. So I'm using about 500 psi here. All the videos that I've watched with putting guides in, they use an air chisel with a drift sat in top of it, and it's like, man alive. No wonder they go through reaming and back out again to make sure it's bores correct, because they've whacked top of it. And it's like, well, these guides are cast iron. But yeah, but just pulling it in is a much steadier way. So this one's sitting about 500 psi going in. So when it gets to its stop, you should be able to see the needle actually start climbing to over 1,000. So I'll pull it so it's probably about 1,200 psi. Which is nearly there now. For those who've been patient enough just watching the needle, maybe seeing the needle bounce up and down a little bit. So the needle's now climbing. Generally what happens when the needle climbs and it jumps back down, it's the tension on the bolt. It hasn't moved now, so that's telling me that it's down at the bottom, and I've just hit 1,000 and I'm just over 1,000 psi and it's not moving. So that's telling me that that guide is now home and in its place. So I'll see if I can show you. You can see how it's sat down into there hopefully. So she's home now. So I'll just put that block back under there. So I'll release the pressure. And that's it done. She's in. So now it's just a case of stripping it down and then grinding the valves in, which there's no point me showing you that. But yeah, so next bit. So me and my son have built the heads. So there we go. I've just gone over the faces there on my block and rechecked my faces on the head there. They're all good now. So those are done. Like I said, I'd done the porting, not to try and get them bigger. I've just port matched them and cleaned them up because they were really bad, as I've explained before. So those have been done, both inlet and outlet. All the bolts, we've done all the bolts, checked those for stretch, and we've cleaned them all, so they're all good. So, and it says in the manual if they're stretched, yeah, then obviously you replace them, but if they're not, everything I've said, just reuse them, so I'm going to reuse those. All the push rods, we've cleaned and checked those to make sure that there's no heavy wear in anything or the bent, they're all nice and straight on that. The rocker assembly, we've cleaned those. I didn't strip these down. I just checked them, checked the tips, what the push rods and the rocker faces that touch the valve heads, make sure they're okay. They're okay. A little bit of wear, but it's nothing, you know, it's nothing bad. So yeah, ready to put it together now. So what we're going to do is, like I said, we're going to do a time lapse. So hopefully we've just spent quite a bit of time trying to set the camera up for time lapse. So hopefully we can get this thing time lapsing in and running today maybe, but we'll see how it goes. Anyway, so we'll go to the time lapse. So we've done the time lapse. It's a bit, I think it should be somewhat okay. We messed around a little bit with bits and pieces. We struggled really last week getting the exhaust manifold bolts in, 2 at the back. Just a nightmare. Anyway, we got those in. Then we'll come to get it going after we finished this morning. Couldn't get it going, out of fuel. Got some fuel, got it going, put the water in. She's got a bit of a misfire for some reason. It picks up, but then as you get onto the higher revs, and it starts barking out in full throttle. Anyway, it's going and it's not pumping out water out the back. So that's a good thing. We'll go around the back and we can see the exhaust, that it's clean now. So that's a good thing. So I'm crossing my fingers, that's all. We've just been running the water through the system, try to bleed that right. But everything seems okay with that. Like I say, it's just this bit of a misfire, and it's something's not quite right. But I'll go over that next week, and we'll try and clean it up. But you'll probably hear it. She's not happy. At a certain amount of revs, it's okay, but it's not smoking, it's not rattling, and yeah. So hopefully everything's all right. What I think I will do is next week as well, I think I'll do a compression check, because I know all the heads now are perfectly fine. So there's no valve leaks. So if I've got, and I'm not got any pressure on the hosing, that seems to be good. My fan's cutting in and out as it should, even though it's a hot day. That's working quite happy. So yeah, I'm happy. So if we go to the back, we'll show you that that's okay, and she does sound quite well when she's on all 8, but as you can hear, she's not happy at all. She's going to cut. Anyway, let's go to the back. Right. Right, so you can see there's no water, it's not pumping anything out. Like I said, I've just got this misfire, and it's breaking up, and it's actually starting to cut out. So yeah, we've got some work to do to get this engine running right, but there you go. And I can smell it's quite strong as well. It's fuel and burnt fuel. So there you go, we'll back to the front and we'll finish this off. So that's it really. I've been doing the Jag seat, but there's nothing real to cover there because I think I've covered that with the first one, so that's coming on. I'm going to be starting doing the upholstery on that, and then it'll be the door, and I still need to get the exhaust sent off. But yeah, so anyway, thanks for watching everybody. Like and subscribe if you like what I'm doing or trying to do. And yeah, you all take it steady, and I'll see you in the next episode of when I sort out getting this thing running nice and smooth. So yeah, you all take it steady. Till the next one.